Well, good evening, folks. Hope you're well. And if you're not, get well soon. Um, just to make an adjustment here. Excuse me. There we are. Um, I've got myself into a bit of a pickle. Um, Maybe I take some advice on this. Maybe people will put comments down below. Excuse the T-shirt is something that my wife thought it was quite amusing. It says Illuminati. She said if you can't beat them, join them. So she did me a T-shirt. And it says New World Order, but well, couldn't waste the T-shirt quite honestly, and these are buggers to get off. So it's one of those things. My wife is quite creative. I just wish I had the chest to go with it, quite frankly. But there we are. Anyway, I've got moobs now, man boobs, because of the pharmaceuticals that I take. They cause a condition called gynecomastia, which means tits on men. So I've got a bit of a B cup going on. I think I've got more than my very first girlfriend ever had, quite frankly. But anyway, family show. Doesn't stop me playing with them and fantasizing, of course. Oh, happy days. Anyway, with that in mind, what's my dilemma? Get to the point, boy. Well, my dilemma is recently I have become... I've never really been a great eater. Not really. I've always been very picky with my food, even as a child. I confess I had such an eating problem. It wasn't a disorder. The fact is that I resented wasting time sitting down eating. As a family, much as I love my family, as a child I used to despise having to break my play days up, particularly during summer holidays, to have to come home to have lunch or dinner. It's bad enough getting forced out of bed to get breakfast. And like everything else, it won't be so funny to you, you've probably heard it before, but I couldn't understand why in the evening I was wide awake, I was sent to bed, and in the morning when I was fast asleep I was made to get up. It just didn't seem natural to me why parents were so cruel. When I get up in the morning, quite frankly, the last thing I really, really want to do is have breakfast. I just despise, and I mean that, really begrudge the time I have to take and spend to eat, to stuff my face. I'm not a foodie. It's a means to an end to me. And I'm not saying I don't like cream cakes. I do like custards, and I do. But I can live without them. I don't miss them. I don't crave them. But I find eating such a pain in the ass. I've always thought it is a total waste of time. When you tot up the hours that you spend around at breakfast, lunch, dinner tables around the world, hours upon hours of our lives are spent stuffing our faces. And for some, they just don't seem to have a break. I see them walking around the streets, they just can't... it's one continuous feeding the animal, isn't it? And the body doesn't seem to have a respite at all. There's no fasting period with these people. They're just blimps. And they want to know why they're overweight and obese and they got varicose veins and leg ulcers and hemorrhoids and they got guts. God, have they got guts and bingo wings. And I think they'll stop eating, fat boy, fat girl. Just cut it out. I don't understand why I'm fat Tracy and she's stuffing some Burger King in her face. I don't either. In fact, I don't understand why you're not a lot fatter. I've been watching you. So I've always resented the time I spend eating, and I am like that even today. I am hardly, I wouldn't say I'm skinny, because that's all relative, isn't it, really? I look at the height-weight ratio, and I'm practically bang on for my height. That the medical height rate ratio would actually say that I am half a stone underweight, but that suits me bloody marvellous. Because it's better than being half a stone overweight. I've got a bit of wiggle room, as they say, and I can pretty much judge how I'm going along in life by the number of notches I have to put on my belt to keep my trousers up. And I don't understand people who live in this fantasy world. I see them lying on their back trying to pull their jeans up, contorting their face, going red. They're going to bust a blood vessel. They're breathing. Bust it. Get on it. And God, that's it. They let go. They let it all go, don't they? And that bloody, the things on the good job they're strong jeans, I'll tell you. There's a lot of pressure. It's going to burst. Look out, she's going to blow. I just see them waddling around in these jeans that are just not suited to their size, but they've got to get in them. It's a standing joke. No, I've never been one of these, thank God. Have I ever been wanted to be bigger than I am? Not really. I've always been a bit of a short ass. I'm 5'8.5". That's about some of it. Sorry, I'm sliding around here. Should sit still. Sorry about that. But I have a problem now, ever since childhood. I mean, I even had to go to hospital at St George's in London once when I was about 7 years old. My mother thought I was underweight, and she convinced the doctors to... I just fell up at this. I'm getting tired of this. It's really... There we are. Balance you out. How's about that then? Oh, did I really say that? Sorry about that. Yeah, I went to St George's for a week, so I was investigated, probably to check to see if I had a tapeworm or something. I never considered myself underweight. My parents were terribly worried about me. All my brothers would do was snigger. And I spent almost, 7-8 days in St George's Hospital, and I came out with flying colours. The doctor said, leave the boy alone. There's nothing wrong with the chap. He just is what he is. He'll be what he'll be. And I thought that was good advice, as my mum stuck a Mars bar in my hand. I've never been a foodie. That's the point I'm trying to make, in essence. And I still remain that way. But of late, I've been trying to keep sugar out of my diet. This isn't all about me. I try and keep sugar out of my diet because I'm becoming more convinced than ever that the food industry is definitely out to kill us all. Aren't they just? Because they don't care. They really don't care what they feed the animals on the farm, as long as we pay taxes. That's quite obvious. And I'm thinking, well, the only way I can do that to them is to fight back. And that means using the knowledge that I acquire and read and clinical papers and the people I listen to. I'm doing my due diligence, and much as I hate to admit it, having a sweet tooth, and don't my fillings show it, historically, I like sugar. There we are, there's nothing wrong with that. I like sweet things. I'm not into spicy things. I cannot abide hot peppers and spices and this shit. I'm not, you're either into sugary things or you're into spicy things. I'm not into spicy things, heavily into sugary things. And but of late I have realised the dangers of sugar. Unnatural. Natural sugar is absolutely fine. The sucrose, the fructose, that's found in fruit and things like this. Yes, and cane sugar is okay, but providing it's not processed. If you were to work in a sugar field cutting sugar cane and chewed it around, that's fine. That's not going to hurt you, apart from rot your teeth. There's so many cane cutters had no teeth. Our brown-skinned brethren cutting all this stuff down. The damage occurs in the factories' processing plants, where they bleach it to make it look pretty and white and snow white and deadly. That's where they do it. It's the refining process that's the dangerous bit for us. And we just love our sugar. In the Victorian times, it was so valuable, they used to have to lock it in a little box, like a cremation box with a key. It was a very special little delicacy. And I didn't really see, the Victorians having such a problem with sugar for long. But it soon got them, though, didn't it? And sugar became more prolific, of course. And then, of course, the natural sugar beet. If you go down to Norfolk, Wow, make sure you change it down and mark it. Again, sugar beet in its raw form is fine if you eat it dig it out of the ground and just eat it. It's very sweet. It's the processing that destroys it and makes it deadly. So I don't like commercially white sugar. If you are into eating sugar, folks, use the brown crystalline sugar. Okay, caramelized sugar. The brown stuff. Much better for you. But the other dilemma I have, of course, is that I've decided to get rid of sugar altogether and go down the sucrose, fructose, there's various types of natural sugars, glucose. So I use glucose in my coffee and tea, with filtered water, of course. And I just want to stop. Why is sugar so bad? Because type 1 and type 2 diabetes are astronomically bad for us. They're rising exponentially. We have a sugar crisis in this country. Our kids are overweight because of it. And it's killing us. Slowly but surely. It's dumbing us down like you can't believe. But it's also wrecking our livers. Because our liver, of course, have to break the sugar down, and they have to talk and get in communication, does our liver, doesn't it, constantly talking to the pancreas all the time, the liver, pancreas, and it's the pancreas that triggers the liver in producing the insulin. They have this communication between them both, and sometimes the liver is under such pressure because it can't break down the sugar. And then it has this blob of fat. It converts it to fat and plasters itself with it, self-sacrificing as the liver. And you see a lot of people walking around with huge, what you think are beer guts, but if you were to slice them open, you would find that their liver, well, where's the liver? It should be this nice, dark, rich, dark brown colour. And it's not, it's all covered in this yellowy, whitey yellow jelly, and you have to dig around for the liver because the whitey yellow jelly is the stuff that's caused the beer gut. You often wonder what's in the beer gut. Well, now you know, it's a swollen liver. And on top of that, anything the liver can't cope with, it packs around your heart. Oh yeah, baby, because the body will not waste. It's feast and famine, trust me. And when you stop eating, you know, the quickest way to get rid of a beer gut, okay, and you don't have to have beer to get a gut, you just have to have lots of sugar. Yes, or the end result of having lots of sugar is to stop eating sweeties and stop drinking soft drinks. Stop drinking, quite frankly. Just drink water and stop eating sweeties and sweet things. And your tummy will go down and down and down, providing you exercise a little bit as well. But that's not my problem. I have almost a six-pack, and generally have always had a six-pack. It's in there somewhere. Might be a 5-pack, but it's there somewhere. I can feel it ribbed under my 1 or 2 millimeters of fat that we all should have a little bit. Yes, it's the middle-aged paunch. I'll make that excuse. But my genuine dilemma now, I always have to have a dilemma. Everybody loves a crisis. I have to have a few of them on the go all the time. Is that I've now decided that I less and less now in my, this drives my wife nuts, but she indulges me, bless her. Now my wife quietly is a silent sufferer. She just puts up with me, bless her. But I hate to admit sometimes, and I will, but more often than not, if I only did what she said, I wouldn't have half the problems I've got. But she's not going to be rubbing it in my face. I'm one of these who has to prove it to myself that I'm wrong and she's right. But I don't want to tell her that she's right, because I'm not here the last of it. I just get a wry smile, and the the rolling of the eyes, and she walks away shaking her head, bless her. I know she loves me. I think she's one of the few that does. And I think, oh, I must be hell to live with sometimes. And she's heard it all before, but it just shows how much she must love me to put up with me. I have to put up with me. That's the difficulty. There's no escape from me. I'm stuck with me. But now the latest thing I have now is that I have a burning desire. It's no good having a desire, folks, is it? Unless there's a burning desire. It was the same when I had an Aston Martin. I always dreamt of having one. Long, long time. And I got one. Yes. And then once I got one, I didn't want it anymore. It's like it's one of these things, a burning... I only hope for your sake that you don't get your burning desire, because when you get it, you'll lose all forms of motivation. What the hell did I buy this for? 5 months down the line, servicing bills, cost of running it, insuring it. And then you realise it's novelty. Yeah, well, it's one of the few cars I didn't make a loss on when I sold it. But anyway, I got it out of my system. But the one thing I've got to get out of my system now is my burning desire to become a vegetarian. Because more and more and more now I'm thinking how disgusting it is that we eat corpses. Because I like cows, I like pigs, I like chickens. I truly do. They're God's little creatures, aren't they? And they have a life to live. And now I'm actually walking around supermarkets, which I probably shouldn't, looking at these beautifully packaged joints of beef and lamb. I mean, I like sheep a lot, but I couldn't eat one. Because I don't like the taste, fundamentally. But that's not the point, is it? The point is, really, in all honesty, I see no reason to want to eat a corpse. And that's what it boils down to. So it might be nicely packaged, but it's still a dead animal. It would never occur to me to go and get roadkill off the road and butcher it and then eat it. It would not be, I would find the whole thing repellent, disgusting, because what we see in the supermarket or on our dinner plates is wholly sanitized, isn't it, really? If we had to go and slice our steak off the cow that's lying there in the field, we'd perhaps think a little bit differently, but it's all too clinical and sanitized. There's a white plastic tray and it's got the steak in it, and you're thinking yummy, yummy, grass-fed, T-bone steak. Oh, yeah, baby. But that's it. We just look down this tube and that's all we see is the steak. But we've got to then think, the moment you start thinking, especially things like veal, which is a young cow, a baby cow, that's no use to man or beast. The only thing a baby male cow will have going for it is if it's a bull. And then they're very few and far between. They're kept alive, but they will get... And I look at young cows and I think, bless their little hearts out in the field. They're separated from the milkers, these young males. And I feel so sorry for them, because I know they're not going to live their life out. They're just going to be slaughtered for the meat. And it breaks my heart. And I think, I'm such a hypocrite. So I've decided now I'm going to... and the same thing for pigs. I think pigs are terrific creatures. I do. They're little characters and they're very intelligent beings for what they are. And they're great. And what do? Pork, pig roast, bacon. The pigs have it terribly tough in life, don't they? I mean, And now I've got guilt. And I'm thinking, can I live without them? And the chances are yes, probably. I can get my protein in other ways. And I don't mind eating fish, quite frankly, because fish have not really had much contact with human beings, but animals have. They're they're land-based. I have no worries about eating fish. I quite like eating fish. I do like kippers, and I do like fly fishing, and I catch a trout, and occasionally I'll, have a trout or a fresh one. I'll go home and I'll cook it, and it's delish. But I don't have any affinity for a trout, so it's a different world. But now I'm thinking, well, I've got this decision to make. Do I become a veggie? Because I always thought vegetarians are boring, attention-seeking bastards, quite frankly. Oh, it's like kids that go to university who've got an ology, they become ology bores. I've got to, what you get, what'd you get, 2, 1, 1, 1, oh, he's got an ology, he must be clever. I can't stand newly qualified graduates, yak, yak, yak. So what? Everybody's got a bloody degree nowadays. There's nothing special. They've taken away that because they made it so easy. Well, they had to, because we're all being dumbed down, aren't we? They had to make it easier. If you had to take a degree in 1930s, 1940s, half the people with degrees would fail, quite frankly, because they're too hard. They were too hard. They've had to drop it now. You'd think they'd raise the standards, but they haven't. Because they want people to stay at school now and be idiots even more and brainwash them even more. Well, they've got them, they can brainwash them. And they cut the entry level into university is very easy compared to what it was in the 70s and 80s. Anyway, I digress. So I'm thinking, can I live without it? So for the past few days I haven't had any meat, hot or cold, white or red. And quite frankly, I haven't missed it. But it's like quitting smoking. I enjoyed smoking and I enjoyed eating meat because I didn't give it a second thought. But I do, I do give it a thought, but I dismiss it. But I'm sick and tired of being in denial about the whole thing. I have to put the fact is I'm eating an animal out of my head and just see it for what it is, a slice of meat. The moment I start thinking of Porky Pig and Bessie and the cow, and the little eyes of the cows, the young male cows going in for slaughter as they eat veal. No, that's it. I have to push the plate away. So it is compartmentalization. I brainwash myself into thinking it's just food, but it's a living thing with feelings. Cows love their babies and pigs love their babies. And I'm sure chickens love their little chickets, So this is the route I'm going down. I'm giving it a go. And they do say you shouldn't try it. You either do it or you don't. Don't try, just do it. So I thought, right, here I go. I've tried it before and I've failed miserably, but I'm persevering now. And the problem I have, and it is a problem, is I don't like many vegetables. I cannot stand cabbage or cauliflower. They're the two primary things I find horrible. And anything pickled, forget it. Oh, no, gherkins, no chance. I'm one of those who, when I used to eat McDonald's, open up the thing, get that circular thing out and chuck it on the roof. And hopefully it'll go splat on the roof up in McDonald's. And you can walk around where I've been to see all these bits of gherkin on the ceiling. We used to have great fun. Whack. Yeah, flick it up with your thumb and slap it on the roof where it belongs. What a disgusting thing to put. It used to amaze me that McDonald's have got this marketing sense. The three colours, as a parent, you try to get your children to eat their veg, don't you? The greens, the yellows, the reds, the three colours that kids just don't want to eat if you put them in forms of vegetables on their plate. Red peppers maybe, or red cabbage. Oh come on, eat your swede. Try to eat your peas, your greens. Come on, and don't. Oh come on, a nice little red pepper. They're lovely in salads, red peppers, raw ones. Oh come on, kids. No, I don't like them. And the first thing McDonald's do, of course, is get your hamburger and then put on this red squirty stuff yellow squirty stuff, and they slap a couple of green things on called gherkins. Yet they sell so many. How do they convince the kids? Because they're not vegetables, are they? They're just the colours. It's almost like, traffic lights. It's okay. It's psychological, you see. Stop, get ready and go. Eat, eat, eat as much as you can. So I'm not falling for that coconut anymore, since I don't eat burgers and I don't go to McDonald's. Do I miss them? Yes. Do I know they're bad for me? Absolutely. But it doesn't stop me missing them. It's called having self-discipline. I'm one of these people, if you tell me to do something, I'll hate your guts. If you ask me nicely, I'll do it with pleasure. And it's the same with children, isn't it? If you tell them to do something. It's far better to ask the child rather than tell the child. And I'm the same. I've not grown out of that. Ask me nicely. If you tell me you can naff off, well, there we are. Unless, of course, it's my wife. I just do as I'm told. Yes, dear. They're the quickest form of self-defense in any argument. Those two words. Yes, dear. Get you out a lot of trouble, guys. Yes, dear. And then do the complete opposite. And run. But oh dear, this is the dilemma then I have. So I'm not missing the meat. It's early days, but I think I'm in the conscious state of doing the right thing. I can look at the cows in the field now and say, I'm a revisionist, I don't eat you guys anymore, stop running away. You can look at me with your big brown eyes over the fence because I've got cows in the field behind me. Yes. And sheep. So I can look at them with impunity, knowing I've never had sheep in my life. I don't eat lamb. It's a disgrace to eat a lamb. I just don't understand why people find such pleasure in. How can you possibly cut an animal's throat, like a goat or a lamb or a sheep, physically? And they do this to camels as well in the Middle East. They tie their head, get them on their knees and tie their head around with a rope to their back leg so they expose the vein on the camel's neck. And they slice it and let it bleed to death. And all the wogs dance around in the camel's blood and splash it around while the camel's big eyes are fluttering with their long eyelashes. I find that offensive. So now I'm not eating animals, thanks very much. So I just wonder if I'm going to lose weight now, because I'm not a great meat eater anyway. And I'm not really missing it. Because if you teach yourself you can live without it, you can live without it. It's amazing what you can live without, quite frankly. And I'm not really missing it. I just stay away from people that are tucking in for now. It's a bit like, Alcoholics Anonymous. Stay away from people who drink. Don't go to pubs and sit there and think how hard it is to become a member of the Alcoholics Anonymous and become a teetotaler. So I'm in a similar boat. I stay away from people who are going to restaurants and tucking into the beef joints, because I have to do aversion therapy, me. I have to look at the fat bastards sat there stuffing the steak thinking, you bastard. He might not be a bastard, but I have, you grease. I think that's, I hope you choke on it. I have to start to dislike the people that are eating meat. It's totally programming myself to find that I dislike people who eat meat now, which is a majority of the population. But it's a temporary fix to deprogram myself. And then eventually it's like quitting smoking. I stay away from people who smoke. So I used to love smoking. Did me in. Used to love smoking. But I don't knock people who smoke. But I have to look at them as they disgust me. But I disgusted lots of other non-smokers when I used to smoke, so I can't be a hypocrite. But now, you see, it's called aversion therapy. I look and I despise it. I don't like that. I can smell a smoker a mile off now, and I didn't realise as a smoker how disgusting I smelt to the people who I used to kid people, being in the medical profession, that a pocket of polos will do. That'll disguise the fact that I'm a charlatan. Supposed to be spouting out quit smoking is bad for you, and all of a sudden I'm going round the back for a quick fag. What a hypocrite. Oh yeah, I was a hypocrite. Yeah. So I don't want to be a foodie hypocrite. I'm going to lead by example, but I have to be thyself, to thine own self being true. I have to start with aversion therapy. It's the best way forward for me. That's the way I roll. I have to hate the thought of eating meat. It gets stuck in my teeth. I had to floss it out, and it collects in my... I have to think these horrible things about what's happening to the meat, what it's doing to my body. It's stuck in my colon. I have to if I don't stop eating meat, I have to have a colorectal washout, colonic irrigation. Most of us, folks, even though we think we're clear, if you go for a colonic irrigation, which they recommend you have once a year by a specialist, a woman with a glove and a tube and some soapy water and a funnel, yes, they're your babes, you'll probably have about a good pound of undigested meat stuck to your intestines. Yes, true. It's quite disgusting to see what people get flushed out of them, and they didn't know they had it in them, quite literally. Oh yes, you wonder if the animals are taking revenge. So, I am giving this a go. I've quit the sweeties, although I hanker after sweeties. I don't eat chocolate anyway. It gives me heartburn and I get migraine, so I don't eat chocolate. And I think, well, thank Christ I'm not a foodie, because my life would be over if I was a foodie, because I know foodies love their chocolates and they love their gâteaux and they love their cuisine. And I don't drink, so thank Christ I'm not an alcoholic or a wine buff or a beer aficionado. These are hardly things to be proud of being, are they? No. I just wish I'd started it sooner. But, well, not having too long left on this world, I thought I may as well go out with a sort of rather than a big bang. I've got to prove to myself that maybe, in hindsight, I'm not doing myself any favours, because in another 10 years, if I'm still kicking, I'll think, Christ, I've had the best 10 years of my life being a vegetarian. I wish I'd done it sooner. Yet another bloody regret. I wish. Woulda, coulda, shoulda. You see, I'll be pissed off in 10 years' time thinking I've wasted all my life eating meat. What has it done for me lately? Meat. Made me feel crap. Made me feel a traitor to the animal kingdom. So I thought, well, I've tried it all now. One thing I've never done is drugs, apart from dimethyltryptamine. Yes, well, that's a naturally produced thing in our pituitary gland, so it's a natural substance. I can't really call it a drug. Nicotine's more of a drug. One of the most addictive substances known to humans, by the way, nicotine. And I managed to quit that. Yes, I vap. I'm on 3%. 3%. It's hardly worth putting in. It's just me rebel without a cause. So, if anybody's got some sage advice, please put it in the boxes below about becoming a vegetarian and what they got out of the deal. Because there's got to be some benefit to it. Well, the benefit for me isn't a physical benefit, it's a mental benefit. It has to be a mental benefit to make me proud to look at animals and not be a hypocrite. And let them, if I'm stroking, I mean the French eat horses, for Christ's sake. Why would a horse, well, why do they eat horses? Why would you want to? When they have so much other shit to eat, they have to eat a horse. It's like eating your friend, isn't it? And Chinese and the bloody slanty-eyed bastards eat dogs. They eat anything. They eat insects and coat them with chocolate, for Christ's sake. You can't count them as human beings. You know, I adore dogs. I think dogs have a soul. I really do. And yet they eat them. You know, I can't think like this when I speak to Chinese and Japanese and the sort of slanty eyes lot. It's the same with the Japanese eating dolphins. How can you respect a nation, clever as they are, that use 2 sticks to eat, and they chop the heads off dolphins? They don't even eat that. They leave it floating in the ocean. They eat the dolphin meat. Why? One of the most intelligent creatures on the planet, and the Japanese behead them and eat them. You can tell a nation, and you can tell a nation for 2 ways: the way they treat children and the way they treat animals. Yeah. Well, that's why I don't have much respect for China and Japan. The Asian lot, nah. So you are what you eat and you are what you kill, I think. You know, because you will be judged. Nothing to do with religion, you'll be judged by others. Well, I judge people how I want to judge people, not by the law courts. And I have absolutely no empathy for these bastards. You know, why do they seem to think that they can't survive without eating dogs or dolphins or horses? Well, at least I'm willing to make a sacrifice as well. And I don't have to, but I do it because I want to. So I've quit the sugar. I don't eat and drink aspartame, but I do love sweet things. So I'll go and buy myself a packet of glucose energy sweets. Nothing wrong with that, they're not going to kill me. Naturally occurring sugars. But stay away from white processed Snow White and Deadly, folks. Any veggies out there who've got some hints and tips, let me know. I'll be appreciative to see how it's changed your life. Has it been for the better or for the worse? I'm curious to know. And one of my favourite meals always has been macaroni cheese. But I feel sorry for the macaroni. No, I don't. I was kidding. Macaroni cheese. That's the way forward for me. And Daisy can stay safely in the garden, out in her fields, knowing that there's one less predator out there looking to turn her nice little body into a nice little steak. Thanks for listening, folks. Catch you tomorrow. And curious to see if you're a veggie or not, or have you been a convert? And has it worked out for you? Catch you tomorrow. Bye-bye.